It's been moved by Councilman Gilbert, second by Councilman Ledford. All in favor by the sign of aye. Opposers, nay. Motion carries. Thank you. Madam Clerk, ordinances on final reading, 5A and B has already been read into the record. So with that being said, we will move on to ordinances on first reading. 6A, please.
An ordinance amending Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 19, Section 1986B1, relating to qualifications of journeyman gas fitters.
Seeing no questions, 6B, please.
An ordinance amending Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 27, Section 2757B, relating to master plumbers' certificates of competency.
Thank you. Let's move now to planning items. 6C, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to rezone properties located at 901 South Holtzclaw Avenue, 903, 9105, and 1001 South Greenwood Avenue to unaddressed parcels in the 1300 blocks of Bennett and Anderson Avenue, more particularly described herein, from M1 Manufacturing Zone, M2 Light Industrial Zone, and R1 Residential Zone to UGC Urban General Commercial Zone, subject to certain conditions.
Councilman Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't see anyone that can explain this right now. Just sort of summarize the changes and things. Is there going to be someone at the council meeting tonight?
I have the revised standard version, at least for this evening. There was I guess, a concern at your last month's meeting here. It was deferred for, or last week, it was deferred for 1 week. And the language is now added here to distinguish the 3 parcels that were closer to South Greenwood Avenue. And John has made suggestions that there be a height limitation to no more than 35 feet for structures located within 85 feet of South Greenwood right-of-way line. So that recommendation is made for 3 parcels that are adjacent to South Greenwood that should be showing. There were little dots on the map that you looked at last week that were three dots. And he was wanting to make sure that it was at least only an 85-foot width on that, so it would not be a larger area away.
Not looking at the map, I believe I saw a 4th parcel that touched South Greenwood. Looking at the map, I believe it was on the north end, maybe a triangular piece of property.
Right.
Is that lot is not included?
Apparently not. I have actually the parcel numbers. There's parcel numbers 12, 13, and 10 that are involved, and those were the only ones that he requested.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilman. We will have Councilman Ledford, followed by Councilwoman Coonrod. Councilman Ledford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If
Yes.
it's helpful, Mr. Bridger will be here in about 10 minutes. I understand if we could come back to this, maybe Mr. Bridger can answer Councilman Mitchell's questions, if you could circle back around.
Okay.
I think would help clarify. About 10 minutes.
Okay, will that work, Councilman Mitchell?
Thank you, sir.
Excellent. Okay, Councilwoman Coonrod, you have the mic.
Thank you, Chair. We got Dallas, who he worked with us on this morning. So, I mean, he's here. He can, I'm surely answer Mitchell's questions.
Mr. Dallas, would you please come to the podium? Look at, he said, he's like, thank you, Jesus. Yeah. Yeah, dead man walking.
I was going to say John could better show you the maps, but yes, we were fine with it this morning that they could accomplish what y'all wanted to do, but I don't know if John has a presentation with a map. I think wasn't that other extra lot across that little alley, wasn't that included as well?
Yeah, it's just the 3 lots as noted in the resolution that have frontage on Greenwood Avenue. And we just made it real clear for LDO to enforce. It's within 85 feet of that right-of-way line, a maximum height of 35 feet. So that's kind of easier for enforcement, and in that way, the applicant wants to develop the back half of those lots, they can. but we're trying to limit the height right there. That's consistent, by the way, with the R1 zone heights. So that way we're being consistent with the R1 zoning on that street. Does that help?
I believe Councilman Mitchell had, is that good with you,
Yes, ma'am.
Councilwoman Kumar?
That single lot.
Okay,
Great.
does that, you need to further?
Yeah.
Okay, Councilman Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. John, there's a sort of a triangular lot, as I recall. I don't have the map in front of me.
That
but
one does not have a height restriction on it.
does not, so that's,
That's part of the UGC grouping.
okay. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilman. Is that it? Okay. Madam Clerk, let's move now on to resolutions. 7A, please.
A resolution authorizing Southeast Tennessee Development District to, on behalf of the City of Chattanooga and Hamilton County, apply for and if awarded, accept a site development grant from the U.S. Economic Development Administration.
Thank you. Let's move on now to 7B.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a donation agreement in substantially the form attached and any related documents between the City of Chattanooga and Nippon Paint Automotive Americas Incorporated for the property identified as Lot 1 of Harriet Tubman subdivision and known as tax parcel number 136EA005.
You have anything for us, Councilman? You good? Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, let's now move on, Madam Clerk, to item 7C.
A resolution authorizing the intent that the proposed City of Chattanooga East Chattanooga Tax Increment Financing Redevelopment Project, AKA the East Chattanooga Rising Tax Increment Financing Project, will provide necessary improvements to public infrastructure that the City of Chattanooga, the city, wants to occur within the proposed time for the project, but does not currently plan to effect in the short term under its existing capital improvement plans. And the City Council will consider an economic impact plan prepared and submitted by the City of Chattanooga Industrial Development Board with aid from the City of Chattanooga's Department of Economic and Community Development with respect to the project in accordance with the city's tax increment financing policy and procedures.
Okay, now, let's move on to information technology 7D.
A resolution authorizing the Chief Information Officer to renew the city's existing agreement with Data Driven LLC for 1 year, providing Watson products in support of Chattanooga Police Department operations beginning July 1st, 2019 and ending June 30th, 2020, with an annual spend limit not to exceed $90,000.
Okay. That concludes this part of our agenda session. There is no departmental report, so now at this time, I will turn it over to Chairman Mitchell with Public Works and Transportation. Chairman Mitchell.
Need approval of minutes? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you. All right, we're going to start with Public Works. Mr. Holland, you're up close.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman.
Good afternoon. Any opening statements?
I don't think I've been accused of anything bad today, so no, sir.
Let's see if we can work on that.
Terrible. Bad, yes.
We're going to go to resolutions for today. 7E, please.
A resolution authorizing the approval of change order number 1 for Southeast Tennessee Development District relative to grant administration services, technical and professional administrative services for an increased amount of $22,500, for a revised contract amount of $64,000 for increased fees for construction cost for Phase 2 and Phase 3 of the wet weather storage project.
Councilman Henderson, please. Okay, here we go.
So Justin, what are we increasing the amount for?
So they assist us, the Southeast Development District has assisted us with funding for a lot of our sewer projects related to SRF funding. This is, so Phase 2 and 3 equate to the equalization facility, the second and the third equalization facility at Ham Road when we expanded the scope on the alternative, from the alternative bids, and are building 3 of those facilities there now. Originally, it was just scope for 1 of the facilities. So we've expanded that project to 2 and need assistance with the financial administration of both of those and the expanded scope.
Okay, so what will this 22,000 go towards specifically?
They assist us in facilitating the SRF funding that's used to,
As in, they consult with us, give us advice, what?
they do. And I might look at Daisy to help us with all of the services that Southeast Development District, Southeast Regional Development District assist us with. But it's mostly financing and coordination with the state as to how the state administers those SRF funds for the city.
Okay, thank you.
Is that helpful?
Sure.
Thank you.
That sure or sure?
Sure.
Okay. We'll move on. 7F, please.
A resolution authorizing the approval of change order number 1 for Heron Construction Company, Incorporated of Etowah, Tennessee, relative to contract number W16024-201, MBWWTP Digester Number 1 Cleaning and Rehabilitation, a non-consent decree project for the decreased amount of $56,730.41 to release the contingency amount of $100,000 for a revised contract amount of $991,269.59.
Got that money back, didn't you? Oh, you okay, Councilman Ledford?
Yes, sir, I'm good.
All right. All right, we'll move on, seeing no lights, to 7G.
A resolution authorizing the award of contract number D18002 to Wright Brothers Construction Company of Charleston, Tennessee, gravity sewer relocation, former Harriet Tubman home site, in the amount of $1,170,359 plus a contingency amount of $120,000 for a total amount of $1,290,359.
Councilman Ledford.
Thank you, Chairman. Justin, pre-2017, I was sitting in chambers before the election, and I remember this project coming through, talking about the sewers. But I remember, I feel like a much bigger number with the relocation of the sewer, because I've been following the Tubman site for a while now, and I know it'll run around the block, so to speak, versus where it's at diagonally now. Can you give me a little background on that?
I can. So we originally, you're right, the site did require quite a bit more funding. The first look at that was running the sewer to the east of the property, and then down to the south end of the property. We've just kind of re-engineered that for it to run along the north side, along the railroad portion of the property, and back down on the west side of the property. Re-engineering that has allowed us to save quite a bit of money from our original scope and scale of the project. So that, just a bit of re-engineering, trying to figure out a best, most practical way to relocate that.
Okay. Yeah, I remember it seemed like it was almost like another $1.5 million. It seems like we're saving on this relocation.
You're exactly right.
Okay.
Yes, we're just doing it a different
It's
way.
funny how things stick in your head. All right. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to resolutions next week. 7E.
A resolution authorizing the approval of change order number 1, final for RTD Construction Company Incorporated of Zephyr Hills, Florida, relative to contract number W1004201 East Brainerd Pump Station upgrades for the increased amount of $210,573.04 to release the remaining contingency amount of $327,426.96 for a revised contract amount of $5,592,664.04.
Councilman Ledford.
Thank you, Chairman. Not really used to seeing numbers like this next to District 4, so you want to give me a brief overview, please?
Yeah, so the East Brainerd Pump Station is one of our larger pump station projects. It was a critical project for our consent decree. It's right along the South Chickamauga Creek. That's actually borders, the property where this is constructed borders the South Chickamauga Creek. And there's a significant improvement, installation of 4 pumps. I don't remember how many were there previously. We've increased the number of pumps. It's a complete renovation of one of our most legacy, or one of our older pump stations that had some safety issues, had a lot of reliability issues. So this is a much more reliable, safe, and efficient pump station, reducing sanitary sewer overflows, which is the goal of the consent decree.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you. Is this one of those where we got into it and, where we found a little more to do?
So this project did extend several times, mainly due to the, some really wet weather over, I think, a 2-year period. If you remember, it's hard to think back when it was raining, but there was a time that we had too much rain, and I think there were about 3 occurrences where that pump station was nearly underwater. South Chickamauga Creek was rising. We weren't to a point where we could secure the site. So there was lots of construction issues that delayed the project.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate
Yes,
the update. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. F, please.
A resolution authorizing the award of contract number Y19010201 to Tri-State Roofing Contractors, LLC of Chattanooga, Tennessee, replacement roofing system for East Lake Senior Center in the amount of $34,191 plus a contingency amount of $5,000 for a total amount of $31,191.
All right. That should do it. Unless
Thank
you
you,
have
Mr.
any other
Chairman.
comments. That's it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Bailey. How are you?
I'm good, Mr. Chairman. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Okay, we're going to start with today's resolutions. There are 2. Please read 7H.
A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Transportation to apply for and, if awarded, accept a congestion mitigation and air quality improvement grant from the Tennessee Department of Transportation for the Chattanooga Traffic Signals and Communications Upgrade Phase 2, with the city's contribution not to exceed $200,000 for an amount not to exceed $1 million.
Seeing no questions, we'll move on to 7I.
A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Transportation to enter into an agreement with Superior Traffic Control, LLC, relative to contract number T14002 for construction services associated with retroreflectivity sign project for various city streets in Chattanooga in the amount of $334,006.25, with a contingency amount of $33,400.63 for a total amount of $367,406.88.
Councilman Henderson. I'm trying. There we go.
Thank you. Can we back up one? Blythe, what kind of upgrades are we making to the traffic signals and communications?
We're providing enhanced detection systems at about, I think it's 8 signals along Nicola Highway, which will give us the ability to make real-time adjustments and potentially have dynamic controls for incident management, since the emergency response comes from over there as well as police. This is an effort to make traffic flow better on Nicola, and it's a 20% match grant that we're asking permission to apply for.
Okay, I'm trying to picture how that works in real time.
You mean how the technology works?
Yeah, well, I mean, so what does it do for the traffic?
Well, it knows the flow of traffic from all directions. I think the grant that we're applying for also has vehicle detection, so it'll know whether it's an emergency vehicle. It's a signal priority for an emergency vehicle. So it can automatically adjust green time to increase flow in one direction or another if there's an incident based on the actual traffic.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
You okay on I?
Yeah.
All right. All right, we'll go to next week. Ordinance on first reading, 6A, please.
An ordinance closing and abandoning the unopened 4100 block of Bellevue Avenue as detailed on the attached map, subject to certain conditions.
Well, I see we've added the district to it. District 5. Makes me want to ask questions.
Go ahead.
Can you explain this, Mr. Bailey?
Um,
What do we do? I understand we're abandoning something, but I
This-
I guess what happens after it's abandoned if we vote for it?
That's, well, that typically happens at the property owner level. Once the council adopts an ordinance that abandons it, property owners can claim it. In this case, I believe the property owner on either side is the same, and they're wanting to develop a church property there. We didn't see this right-of-way as having any future use because it dead ends at the highway. And I believe it came with a recommendation from Planning Commission also to approve.
All right. You wanted to add anything, Mr. Gilbert?
You got anything about churches? Got anything against the church?
You know, all day people have been thinking I got problems with things, and I really don't.
The way you say
I'm
it.
just asking questions.
But it's a good project because before it was zoned for a not C, but a R3, and the community didn't really favor that too much. So this is a good alternative. Plus, they're gonna do a lot of activities for the community itself, for inviting them, the church, to have different health programs for the community. So it's a good program. It's a win-win. And they need this to make, instead of splitting the church in half, it gives them more space.
Okay, so this is something that helps the church.
It helps the church have more space, yes.
All right. Thank you for that
Amen.
explanation. All right, we'll move to resolutions. 7G, please.
A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Transportation to apply for, and if awarded, accept a grant from Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee Foundation for the Bike Chattanooga Neighborhood Station Expansion for an amount not to exceed $225,000. And no cents.
Going once, going twice. You want to go? Okay. Councilman Ledford.
Thank you, Chairman. Blythe, want to give us a little more information on this?
Yes, sir. This is a grant to expand our bike share system.
Is it expanding in the same parameters? Are we expanding the boundaries, or are we increasing in the zoning word to
Well,
density?
We haven't decided yet. We haven't won the grant, so we haven't decided if we win the grant where the bike stations will go.
Okay.
I will say the last time we won a grant, we did expand
The boundaries?
location. There's not technically a boundary,
Okay.
but we put docks farther from the center of the city in our last expansion. I believe the newest dock is in Tatum Park and Highland Park. And there's
That's a
also-
good question. When we expand or put in a new dock station, what is that process? How do we go about that? Because obviously
You
we're
mean, how do we
putting,
choose the location?
yeah, how do we choose a location?
Well, we do it, we have, give me a second, we have parameters that I tracked down in anticipation of this question. First, we look at bikeability, the presence of facilities and how close together things are, which tends to be a factor for whether it's bikeable. We look at proximity to other sites. So our system is a point-to-point system. It's not a bike rental system, it's a bike share system. So it's designed for members or per day customers. There's a couple of different ways to rent the bikes, to check out a bike from a certain dock and then take it to another dock. So the docks need to be relatively close together because the rental is for a period of time. So it's not for an extended period of time. You're supposed to undock it and dock it back at another nearby location. And then thirdly, we have data that shows usage. And so we try to locate them in places where we think there will be good usage. So for example, the Riverwalk system, bike stations get a lot of usage. So before the previous expansion, we had expanded along the Riverwalk for that same reason.
Have we ever put a dock in and then found it wasn't performing very well and moved it?
I want to say we have, but I'd have to check to see if we've actually gone through with moving it. I know we have some stations that don't get a whole lot of usage. I'd have to double check to see if we've actually moved one specifically because of that location. I know we have moved docks either because of construction or some other reason, but I can find out if you'd like.
Your leisure. It's
Okay.
not, I'm just curious more than anything. Yeah,
Certainly.
It's a great
Yeah.
program, so I just wanted, just curious. Like
Thank
to see
you.
it grow.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments for Mr. Gilbert?
Hello, Blight.
Hello, Councilman.
This has nothing to do with this subject, but I need to ask you, have you have any update on Bonnie Oaks?
You mean the States project?
No, this is on the expanding the street from Lee Highway all the way to Hillcrest, or to Highway 58. You know, widen the street.
Yes, sir, that's a TDOT
Right.
project.
Have you
I
heard anything else on
I
that?
don't have an official update, and I regret, I was with them earlier today, spent substantial time, but I didn't ask them about the Bonnie Oaks project. They gave an update, they talked about it in 4 phases. If you want, I can get an update for you.
Yeah, give me an update. See, I know they said 4 stages, but they haven't started
That's
anything yet, so
That's right.
appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Anything else from anyone? Mr. Chair, is that the last committee meeting?
That's it.
All right, if nothing else, we are adjourned till 6 o'clock. Yes, ma'am. Okay.
You gonna be able to